Daines and her partner are bracing for a big shock. They're just months away from rolling off fixed mortgages.
We took out the loan with the idea we would at least have 3 years to try and get some of that principal down before interest rates would change.
Their repayments on 2 mortgages, their home and an investment property, will rise by about $3,000 a month.
With the cost of living and inflationary pressures, we'll have to be assessing and looking at perhaps offloading our property in Sydney when that time comes as well.
Like many Australians, she says they relied on guidance from the Reserve Bank.
The condition for a rise in the cash rate will not be met until 2024.
I'm certainly sorry if people listened to what we'd said and then acted on that.
I'm just one individual here, and we've got 9 people taking these decisions.
The Governor's 7-year term is up in September. While Philip Lowe wants it extended, that decision is up to the Treasurer.
This is a big job and it's a big call. I'm in the process right now of consulting with my Cabinet colleagues and with others as well.
This is about learning from the past.
Jim Chalmers is under pressure to inject new blood into the RBA after a review into the central bank.
I think there's no doubt that Philip Lowe should go. I would say the government reappointing Philip Lowe would be an endorsement of the myriad failures. It would be like the Treasurer saying, no matter what a governor does, no matter how poorly they perform, no matter how many screw-ups there are, we will reappoint you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
The Governor has also copped criticism for inflation being too low before the pandemic, buying bonds to try to keep rates near zero during COVID, and being too slow to hike when prices began rising.
I do think he should have started raising rates earlier.
But economists say our inflation problem can also be blamed on massive spending by the former government during the pandemic.
If you compare his mistake to the mistakes of all the other leaders of Australia during this period, I don't think it's any worse, and it's probably not as bad as many of them.
Since May last year, interest rates have been rising at their fastest pace on record. Economists are split over whether Philip Lowe's 40-year career should continue beyond September. Some say it's too risky to change governors in the middle of a hiking cycle with inflation not yet under control.
If the Bank of England can change governors in March 2020, when the COVID pandemic is exploding out of control, I think Australia can probably change governors of the RBA when we're just increasing interest rates 25 basis points at a time.
The leading contenders for the top job include RBA Deputy Governor Michelle Bullock, Treasury Secretary Stephen Kennedy, who also currently sits on the board, Finance Department Secretary Jenny Wilkinson, the head of the Australian Bureau of Statistics David Gruen, and former Deputy Governor Guy Debelle. Daines says the RBA needs to reconsider its messaging going forward, but people also need to think carefully about how much debt they take on.
Buying a house is the biggest financial decision you'll probably ever make, and so you need to have some assurances that you can afford that.
It's a reality she and many other Australians are now facing.